So, welcome back everyone to One Piece chapter 1061. We are joined by the one, the only, the Parvision. You guys know him, you guys love him. He is known around his neighborhood as
One Piece theorist.
me, myself, Sai, also known as
One Piece spoiler guy that is here.
and we're collabing today yet again, and we're here for this brand new chapter of One Piece. So, to kick us off, we're going to jump right into this. We have the cover page story with Germa 66 and they're escaping Whole Cake Island with Caesar Cloud. Par, what do you think about this?
Are we gonna start off the video censoring? They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, what did Sai say here?
I can't hold it in. That's so funny.
Okay, all right. So, what was the question again? The Germa.
What do you think about the cover page? What do you think about the cover page?
Okay, so I mean, they're gonna literally be like, what is happening now? We don't even get to get the intros anymore. They're just censored straight out. Unlike the intro, it's super straightforward and it's kind of what we expected. It's the Germa cover story. They're the main characters and they're just gonna be heading off and escaping with Caesar. It doesn't seem like there's no katakuri in Ru or oven. It's just like,
it looks pretty good.
If we get a continuation, we might get like a resolution, maybe like 1 or 2 more cover stories. I feel like sometimes we do get that where it's like 1 to 3 cover stories of just like epilogue of the story. So in general, it seems like a W for the Vince Smokes, and Caesar gets a half W because he just gets to live, sort of.
He's escaping with them.
He's going to judge, so but other than that, it's kind of straightforward. But I do like that. What I kind of realized is that this is like set up for this reveal that we get in this chapter, right? I think when this cover story started, the series started at the beginning of the year, none of us would have said that Vegapunk would be revealed in this chapter, right? And it's like now we get this lineup where it's like we have the Vince Smokes and Caesar, who obviously one way or another related to the Mads team, and then in this chapter we get Vegapunk, and it seems like in the next few chapters we're going to get more, and as we conclude the cover story we're probably going to see the other scientists, Judge and Caesar, make like their connection, so it is really great. I want to see
like a handshake between them, like the final page of this cover story is just them shaking hands, Germa and Caesar joining forces to create scientific inventions. And it's like you said, like I wonder how much longer they can drag this on too. Like you gave it what, 2 chapters, 2 cover stories?
I think I just don't like it ending on 19. It's on volume 19 right now, so I want 20, 21, maybe 2022 for 22. Maybe that.
I even wouldn't mind if they went all the way up to 66 to complete the Germa 66 thing, 66 volumes of the Vince Smokes.
How many chapters would that be? That'd be 40 more chapters. That's an entire.
At least.
I knew you were a Marine fanboy. I didn't know you were a Germa fanboy too.
Hey, I like the Vince Smokes.
It's on brand, I guess. If you
I like the way they bullied Sanji.
Oh god. God.
No, so I mean, it's like you said, I can't imagine this going on much longer. Like the next time we see them, they're probably going to be aboard one of their ships, and then the last time we see them is probably them and Judge. But at the same time, Oda, if he wanted to, could prolong this. He could throw Brule and Kraka their way.
This is true. That, I mean, pronunciation aside, but they Sai isn't even drunk yet, by the way.
We just hopped on.
This is
a regular night.
Yeah. He could prolong this. I'm curious to see how they got off the island though, right? Because Judge hasn't shown up here, and from my understanding, they came through the mirror on Cacao Island to Whole Cake Island. So do they have to redo that, or do they have a getaway on Whole Cake Island? Or so one way or the other, there is some kind of fallout that has to be had, but it's not unlike Oda to off-screen developments during a cover story. He's just going to focus on the main thing. So their escape might not even be that meaningful, and the meaningful part might just be Caesar and Judge reuniting to reignite the Mads team endeavors. So, you know, I would give it 2 or 3 more chapters. Probably.
And the one person we are missing from the scientist team now is just Queen. And I'm wondering if Queen will make an appearance in this cover story. I really don't think so, but I think it would be a nice nod to at least see where Queen is at. Like, maybe Vegapunk references all the other scientists coming on to the next few chapters, and then we get a brief snippet of where they're all at, and then, I don't know, Queen is in a prison? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, or it could be that we get the developments of the Beast Pirates and like Yamato later on, maybe it's not the next cover story segment. It depends how far into the last saga we go, right?
Yeah.
So we might get some filler cover stories, like some requests or some like random things that Oda wants to do, and then we get a full-fledged another mini series of the Beast Pirates, similar to how when we left Whole Cake Island, then a decent amount of time after we got like Bedge's cover story, and then we got the German cover story. So it was like dealing with the fallouts of the previous arc. So that might be the same situation.
I could totally see that with Yamato having like Yamato's Wano Adventures or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
that'd be nice.
Like Momo's
Shogun Diary.
Yeah, and then Yamato's next, and then the Beast Pirates. So it might be we get the Wano fallout of the arc that we didn't see and we wanted to see in a cover story. And who knows, maybe we get, I know Marco's one we shouldn't get in a cover story. Prefer we get Marco's.
What is Marco doing, like healing little kids at Sphinx Village? I don't want to watch that.
Or dying, So like,
that would be
a lot
blessing.
Of people do think that he's gonna get off screen. There is a significant portion of the community that thinks that he will be off screen. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
So, moving on with the chapter, we have the start where Luffy is flying through the sky with Amigisa Chopper. And then he ends up grabbing Bonnie as well so that she doesn't fall into the water. And then she says, wait, look at that, there's something below us. And then we see a giant megalodon under the water, much larger than the Sunny, trying to eat it. And, I immediately get like Jaws vibes going from this. And I really enjoyed it. And it's funny because after you see the shark pop up, you're like, wow, that's a big shark, but it's not nearly as menacing as when we first saw it in the first page. And a couple of things about this shark, too, is the most notable ones that everybody, I guess, is pointing out is that it is created by Vegapunk, and it is also Model 3, just like the Sunny's Model 3 submarine shark. Oh, do you have any real thoughts on it or comparisons you want to draw?
No, I mean, I like that you said the megalodon. Sharks are my favorite animal, ever since I was a kid, and I even drew a shark on stream to prove to my chat that I wasn't capping about that. But yeah, definitely, and like to give a size perspective, I'm pretty sure, and I've been repeating this several times, but the Sunny is apparently the size of the height of Wall Maria in an AOT, and so this shark is
huge,
massive, absolutely. Like,
it doesn't
monstrous.
Look massive near the end of its little story, but it is huge. Like, this is a fat shark. Like, this shark could single-handedly eat a country.
Yeah, and I definitely get like cartoonish vibes from this shark, especially when it breaches the water and we see the UNK, obviously for Vegapunk,
and then the eyes, the smile,
the snout, everything about this is just like I don't even know which series I lean towards when I see this, but it definitely looks like something from like a game I play, Banjo, like,
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, doesn't it kind of feels like something
I can
from
see that.
there.
This reminds me of how Oda drew Luffy's Gear 5th, and he tried to make it very cartoony in nature. I can tell Oda's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna start making more things look cartoony. And that's why we have this right here, and then later on we have the Vega Force 12, my favorite pair of shoes. Yeah, so the punk shark comes out, and we have Zoro commenting about how big it is, and they just have a pretty rough landing. Jinbei, being a really good man, jumps into the sea to try and save Luffy and the others. And this is where we see Frankie try to propel backwards, and it's so funny now that we're introduced to Vegapunk. Everything Frankie does now, every technological advancement Frankie has made, just pales in comparison. And I kind of feel bad, right? It's like, I don't know, we were shopping at Walmart and we finally went to Target. Like, I'm just looking at Frankie, I'm like, whoa, like, we're just using knockoffs at this point. Because he doesn't even back up the Sunny fast enough to really avoid the torpedoes even.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say the comparison Walmart to Target is even fair. It's like, you know, a flip phone to like an S or a Z Fold. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the same model, the Model 3, both being shark submarines of sorts. I would rather Vegapunks. I would definitely.
Yo, don't even catch me with Frankie's shark submarine, bro.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's looking real bad for Frankie's technology right now.
And it's alive too. Like, it has its own personality and stuff. So it's eons ahead of. Like, again, it's not even the difference of Walmart or Target here. This is the difference of like having like Wall-E and like the Terminator. You know what I mean? Like,
it's literally like what is it? The Great Wall of China and the Mongols.
Oh my goodness.
We can leave that one, and that one's tame. That's a Mulan reference.
To give you guys a benchmark to see what we leave in and what we don't, or what Sai leaves in and what we don't.
Yeah. that one's staying in the video. Very tame take. But yeah, the difference is just so freaking apparent. And the shark, like you said, has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
It's thinking, it's doing things against, you know, later we find out going against Vegapunk's orders. Like, this shark is on a different level.
For sure.
When we see this much emotion being conveyed from the shark, I just wonder how much emotion and depth we're going to get with the Seraphims. Are they their own personalities as well? What about the new pacifistas? Like, what is the advancement of technology in One Piece going to look like with Vegapunk around?
Oh yeah. There's a line later on that I really want to like emphasize on towards the end of the chapter. But like here, it's so interesting because like what we understand later is that this is all autonomous. Like, this shark is like looking, it goes beep 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 beep, and then it shoots a torpedo. It actually succeeds in capsizing the Sunny, which is like, whoa, that's pretty incredible.
Adam would, bro.
Yeah, and we've never seen, like, the Big Mom threw a tidal wave at the Thousand Sunny, and it survived that. Yeah, it flew off of Wano. It survived that. You know, like, how many the Going Merry survived falling off of a sky island with an octopus. You know what I mean? Like, and this torpedo flipped the Thousand Sunny. It's like, this is pretty significant in my opinion.
A big explosion.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowing Vegapunk, I'm surprised that the shark didn't have Kizaru laser.
yeah, honestly,
it's like, whoop, Kizaru laser flying out of its mouth.
Yeah, maybe it couldn't. Maybe it's too destructive for. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't give it to a shark who has a mind of its own. To be fair, but then again, the Vegapunk still gave it torpedoes, so it's like, you know, it's like.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, though, the way Vegapunk manhandled the shark later, it's like, is the shark even like anything to him though? Like, is it just like a fun toy on the side? Like, who really knows?
Yeah, and then what like really. I didn't realize until later in the chapter, but here especially, is this mecha. Like, I thought at first that this was the General Frankie when I first was
same
when I looked at it in the live reaction, I was like, dang, this is the cooler. Why didn't we bring out this General Frankie? And then I looked closer, I zoomed in, I was like, wait a second, it says Vega Force. And then later on I realized how massive this thing is, because it's next to this shark, and this shark looks like a normal shark next to it. And it looks even more cartoonish next to it. And like, the eyes are
very cartoon in nature. I love it.
This makes General Frankie look like
bad.
Buns.
It's bad.
So buns.
You see that Toy Story meme where like that girl's like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and she's dropping the toys. That's literally us with General Frankie and all of his like garbage. Like, I hate to call it garbage, because up until now, General Frankie and all of Frankie's technology on the Thousand Sunny, that was like peak, bro. Like, every arc, Frankie unleashed better and better tech. But now I'm looking at all of this, and I'm just like, dude, like, this is like embarrassing. Like, it's like playing Little League basketball, and then you all of a sudden meet, like, I don't know, Michael Jordan or something, right? Yeah. And it's just not. It's not a good comparison. I just feel bad. And I asked a question in my latest video. I said, hey, by the end of the series, with, you know, Luffy surpassing Roger, Zoro surpassing Mihawk, do you think Frankie is going to surpass Vegapunk? And a large majority of people said no. Frankie is not going to surpass Vegapunk. What are your thoughts on that? Will Frankie's tech ever make it to this level?
Maybe in parts, but not entirely, right? And that is an important note, and we'll talk about that later in the chapter, because later in the chapter there's a thing that I want to really focus on. I think a lot of people missed this detail, but like even this showing, bro, it's like Frankie had 2 years to make General Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had the blueprints. He had the blueprints that Vegapunk had.
Yeah, the blueprints, bro. He was copying, bro. He was copying the homework.
It's like you know what this is like? It's like seeing a Bugatti and then you are like recreating it, and then you like zoom in and it's like a Hot Wheel, but like nobody knows that's a Hot Wheel.
Yeah.
Like, look at my Bugatti. Like, you know what I mean?
Or it's like, you're like, oh, that car has NOS. Let me put a playing card on my bicycle and it'll make the same noise as that.
Yes,
that is exactly what it is.
That is exactly it.
And it feels bad because, like I said, we have always been hyping up Frankie for every arc. Everything Frankie whips out, it's always like top. It always gets the job done. It's brand new. It's fascinating. It's like, whoa, how do you make this? Like, I haven't seen this before in the world of One Piece.
Right.
And then we get introduced to Vegapunk. And not only does he make Frankie look like a child, but he also negs Vince Smoke, Judge, Caesar, and Queen. Like, these guys don't hold a candle to Vegapunk. It is crazy. Like, how do they even work on the same team? If they were on the same team at Mads, the way I imagine it is that Vegapunk is doing all the homework. And the other kids are just, you know, screwing off on the side. Vegapunk is the heavy hitter of the scientist world. And I don't know. Like, I know we didn't see a whole bunch of them, and I know we could just be blowing smoke up his booty hole. But at the same time, like, you can't deny what we see in this chapter. He one-shots the shark. He has, you know, all these machinations. Even Frankie is impressed by what he's witnessing at the end. Yeah. Like even don't even take our opinions into consideration. Take Frankie's opinions into consideration. He is impressed by this. So yeah, and I don't know.
I would say there's an asterisk now because of this chapter. If for the viewers who don't know, in a past Voice of All Things stream that I had, we actually power scaled the scientists, the doctors in One Piece on their intellect based off of my perspective. And a lot of people were arguing Frankie higher, and I was kind of like, I think I was batting, you know, a little bit lower. But and then I was putting Judge lower, and I'm actually because of this chapter, I'm gonna put Judge a little bit higher, and I'll get into that later. But what I do want to focus on is that point about Frankie being a child. When we take a step back, we actually have to realize he had, you know, that past the lasers, the Kizaru lasers. When you think about it, right, we saw the Seraphims one hand a laser just like this, just boom, right? But then Frankie has to devote two hands and do this,
two hands and charge it up,
and it's like, even from that perspective, it's like he had the blueprints clearly, and he still couldn't recreate that level of thing. And it's like, you know, that's one of the more difficult things. But then General Frankie, the shark submarine, you know, how many levels to fodderizing Frankie are we gonna go to in terms of Vega, because he's fodder compared to Vegapunk.
Dude, the shark submarine doesn't even attack, bro. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't need to, right? It's just for scouting. But even then, it's like, bro, we couldn't even put torpedoes in here, or like big torpedoes. Like, come on. Like,
I low key, like, it's clear that Oda wants us to compare this shark to
Yes, he wants us to.
It's the same number, it's the same animal, it's the same function. It's like this is the exact. Frankie looked at this blueprint and he made his thing and he said, good enough. Like, that's probably what it is. But no, it's a shark that looks like a shark but is also metal, that shoots torpedoes and has a feeling and has a tongue. Like, it's crazy. Like,
even Jinbei was like, yo, we gotta dodge this shark. Like, Jinbei was like, yo, we gotta dive. Like,
yeah. And he's looking our way, himself. Let's go. Yeah. He's just like, yo, we ain't messing with this one, bro.
And
like,
you know what's funny? I'm looking at this as a major Frankie glow-up arc. Like, I feel like he has to get something out of this arc. If he doesn't get anything out of Vegapunk's arc, I'm going to feel a little bit disappointed.
But
with that being said, yeah.
Or it could
Go-
be the Baratier, where it's Zoro meets his end goal and gets no diffed, and he's just like, I won't lose again. Or
Yeah.
and so Frankie by the end of this arc is just like, ah, shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You know what's funny though? Like, the more you think about it though, like, we could assume, bringing back Wano into this equation, Luffy in Wano was introduced to Rio to Conqueror's coding. And in that same arc, he managed to not, like, master it. He used it and he mastered it.
Yeah.
Frankie, on the other hand, I can see him taking techniques away from this, but even after this arc, I can't imagine that he's just gonna, 500 IQ, be as smart as Vegapunk, though. Unless we leave him here on this island for, like, a hot minute, I can't see how this is gonna go.
Yeah, it kind of
Like,
lends
maybe
itself...
Frankly will, like, take some blueprints. Maybe he'll get a quick tidbit on how to make something. But I don't know how impactful that'll be unless we spend a good amount of time with Vegapunk. Like, how much, like, Luffy, he can learn about Rio and then he can master it later on. Frankie, like, how is he going to master all this, like, over the course of time?
Yeah, especially
don't
because
know.
Frankie's powers come from preparation rather than situational, like, overcoming adversity, right?
Yeah.
Luffy can get punched and die and then come back because he's just that guy, but Frankie can't just get his robot no diffed and then be like, I'm gonna make a better Gundam right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be 5 times stronger.
Yeah, like,
Like,
hold
that's
up.
just an intelligence difference.
Like, hold up, Kizaru, give me a second real quick. And then
It's
makes
like-
like that's not what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like, you can always punch harder a day after the gym, but you can't just automatically pass a college exam after learning the ABCs.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same with, like, Luffy's case or Zoro's case or even Sanji's case. So that's why Frankie, I feel like more time has to be spent with Vegapunk. So the crew's already split. I wouldn't be surprised if the crew splits even further along the way.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. Once we get there, we'll talk more about that.
Here, let me see. What should we talk about next? This dead silence here is gonna get cut off.
Yeah.
Dude, this chapter's so good though. I love this chapter.
Yeah, the thing with this chapter too is, like, the reason why I say it's a lull is clearly that there's so much progressive sequence here where it's like, we didn't need Jinbei jumping off, saving them, all that stuff. We could have, like, fast forwarded a lot of this stuff, but like, this is the lull right here. This is like 6-7 pages of, like, not really, like, any, not that it's not development. This is exciting for sure, but this is definitely going to be stretched out in the anime, for example.
Yeah.
Definitely, so that's why I say it's like a lull in general. But
I'm expecting a big filler arc in between Wano and this.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I wouldn't be
possible.
surprised. I mean, we got it. We got that filler arc before Wano too. I
did?
think so.
No, I think we jumped right from.
Oh, it
Reverie.
was before Whole Cake is what it was.
probably
With the
movie.
slave fruit.
Yes, I remember. I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, here we go. Good cut in. Clap. So moving onwards, we have the nearby island, the G14 naval base, and we're reintroduced to Tashigi and the rest of the Punk Hazard kids, and they're
Before
actually.
we continue,
Go up.
stand up real quick, Sai. We gotta do a pants check. All right. We're wearing
Pants
pants.
check.
I'm wearing pants.
Yes.
All right, Sai's wearing pants. Just to preface what's about to show up, just so you nasties in the comments.
Just because I have pants on doesn't mean I can't take them off, Par. Because, you beat me to the punchline, but further down in the chapter, or the same page even, we're introduced to G14 Commander Vice Admiral Doll. Bro,
That's hot.
come on. My childhood dreams, my high school, early college me was screaming at the seams. And here's the thing. I'm not expecting a lot out of Doll. I'm not expecting Doll to come out and all of a sudden, be Admiral level or super strong or have a crazy devil fruit. But just the introduction of Doll was enough to get my jimmies wrestling. But we're getting too ahead of ourselves, Par. Going back to the Punk Hazard kids in Tashigi, it looks like Vegapunk was actually able to create a medicine that is able to make them smaller and possibly not rampage. So not only is he making Frankie look like a child, but in terms of medication and Chopper even, he supersedes Chopper in medicine. What is your thoughts on that? Like, Vegapunk is a jack of all trades and a master of all. This guy's crazy.
We need him on Wano because all the doctors, the best doctors
Dude,
in the world,
the smile,
don't give a shit.
The
Don't
smile
give a-
people. Bro, we literally left Ibisu Town laughing at everything.
Yeah.
They can't even cry. They just laugh, bro. I bet when
Chopper, Marco, and Law said, "Ain't no way I'm even attempting."
And Miyagi, the
They were
freaking
like,
Zoe
nah.
doctor. Do you think that when they said, "Hey, we can't cure your smiles," they were just laughing? They're like, "Ha ha ha ha," like crying. Hey guys, we can't cure you. They're just laughing. Ha ha ha.
Like,
you guys are our only hope.
Like, if we see Chopper meet Vegapunk and Chopper sees that he solved this thing that he couldn't do on his
Chopper
own,
admitted he couldn't solve this gigantification.
yeah, we might get the flashback of Chopper being like, "Oh my god," and then we get the conversation with him in the Ibisu town or Okabore town, whichever town, and they were just like all smiling, and he's like, "Oh my god, he could save them." Like, I couldn't.
Please go to Wano.
And then you get the flashback of like, "I'm sorry guys, I couldn't save you," and it's like, "Ha ha, ha, it's okay, Chopper."
No worries, Chopper. We understand.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what, like, Vegapunk has so much to teach.
Yeah,
I honestly can't see him being a bad guy, especially after this chapter, right? Oh yeah, 1 second. My cats are eating the cardboard boxes again. Okay, we're all good to go. So yeah, I can't see Vegapunk being a truly bad person. Because I feel like there's so much to learn out of him that if he was bad, then we'd kind of just, in a way, narratively pass up all this big information for the crew.
Yeah, with Vegapunk, it's such a coin flip, in my opinion. And I talked about this in my video where it's like, we get this situation on Karakuri Island where the grandpa was like, he wanted to save, or Vegapunk wanted to save the island as a child. They wanted to geothermally tap into the volcanic reserves underneath the island to save the environment. And in failing, he or she became, upset, very upset that they couldn't do that, or she couldn't do that, they couldn't do that, Vegapunk. You get what I mean? And so then we get in the other situation where Caesar was going off on like his genocidal rampage, and Caesar, Vegapunk was like, "Nah, bro, we gotta chill on that," And it's like, we do get this morally positive character, but then we get the pacifistas and we get the Seraphims, and on top of that, it's like before 1059, you could say Vegapunk made these things without knowing the destructive like intentions that they had, but they were recording the Seraphims' activities so Vegapunk can see it.
Pause.
Yeah.
I think that the pacifistas and Seraphim are generally good, though. Like, they're being used by the Marines. How are they bad? He's literally making machine guns for the good guys.
Weren't the pacifistas on Sabaody demolishing the groves and towns and the citizens?
But they were taking down pirates.
But I was destroying the island.
Who cares? The pirates were destroyed. Oh my god, you're lucky everybody's asleep. The pacifistas were taking down pirates that would have destroyed the island. The pacifistas on Marineford took down pirates. They are wanted criminals. And then on Amazon
on
the
Sabaody
were only attacking pirates. They are generally
on
good
Sabaody.
Oh my
when you
God.
walk it back, the pirates were the ones who stopped the human trafficking trade that was going on, and you know who tried to stop them?
But it's by the Celestial
Marines.
Dragons. We can't go against the Celestial Dragons, Par.
Yeah, but all right, you're talking about it as if it's a good thing when you take a step back, and you're not taking a step back, and the Celestial Dragons aren't good.
I am. They're not good, but that is how the world works.
All right. If you're a real Akainu fan, Akainu doesn't like the Celestial Dragons.
Yes, but we can't do anything about them, Par.
No, you can do something about that side. You know it.
Not
Even
yet,
Akainu. Akainu isn't a dick rider like you are for the Celestial Dragons.
But I am just like a Kainu. I don't like them, but they are a necessary evil in the world. If we can overthrow them, we will, but there's just no way we can right now. Until Luffy goes to Marie Joie or do whatever. But That's just where I am. I do
Did
believe...
you just admit we need pirates? Did you just say we need Luffy to take care of the business? Akainu can't? Is that why Marines and pirates need to be friends?
But we can't have a Marine antagonizing his own group. So I understand, you know, Akainu for life.
No one said they needed to antagonize. All I'm saying is on Saba Odi, the pacifistas were the aggressors. The other pirates were just chilling, bro.
No, those pirates would have... Okay, I'm going to say right here. Those pirates would have went on and caused more havoc out at seas to innocent people. Yes.
They were all they were chilling.
You cannot
Bonney
deny
was
that.
Eating. Hawkins was playing tarot cards. Beige was eating too. Kid and Law were just chilling.
They're not good people.
Luffy was saving his friend who was enslaved. I don't know what you're getting at here.
I am just saying that in general, the pacifistas are used for good. Sometimes, you know, they might do some bad things, but the pacifistas are good. And same with the Seraphim. They've only attacked pirates. They are only attacking the bad guys, Par. They are not hurting innocent civilians. Yes, they have property damage, but what superhero doesn't? Superman destroys buildings. Do you blame him? No. All right, moving on. All right, Par. I can't believe you and your pirate propaganda is coming in here. But yes, Vegapunk, the genius, the GOAT. We have Vice Admiral Doll being introduced, and she is complaining about Helmeppo because he's just whining on end. Toshigi can't do anything about it because she also feels pretty bad about the Kobe situation. And then we're introduced to another sword member, Commander Hibari, who has a very generic-ish looking design, but I feel like that's I feel like that's pretty wait, what's the word? I feel like it's an act. I feel like while she looks very timid, she looks very shy, scared, or whatever in this panel here, I really do feel like Hibari might have some hidden talents. Out of all of the sword members we're introduced to in this chapter, I feel like Hibari holds the most potential because it's somebody you wouldn't expect it from. And that is a very Oda thing to do. Hibari, very timid. And then imagine Hibari in a fight. She's like busting out. She's super badass. I don't know. And then the last person we're introduced to before we start talking about all of them is Prince Gruss, or Groose, however you're going to pronounce his name. And he's actually a character we met before. A lot of people have been pointing that out. So now, what are your general opinions on this? And then we'll, you know, obviously bounce back and forth about it because there's a lot to digest here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised at your willpower of just, you know, we did talk about Doll, but we didn't talk about Doll as nearly as much as I thought you would.
I have a loving family.
I was gonna call you out and be like, hey, you were at work when you read this chapter. Where did you go when you came across this panel?
Shaking the bottle. Oh man, I mean, like from the name to the collar to the hair. Oh my god.
I mean, everyone would be upset if we just breeze past this because you know, as much as I've been saying Oda's been listening to me in the past chapters. I mean, Zoro's a plant, Zoro's an Oni, all this stuff. Which, by the way, I leaked on the Volume 1 podcast earlier in their like special event, so that was fun. But it also seems like Oda's listening to you, or maybe he's listening to our conversations because you've been telling Oda straight up, I need more goth girls. And he said, okay. We didn't need Doll, but I'm not upset. I'm with you. All right. I just
gotta say it right here. It is a statistical fact that men who watch anime are more into goth girls than not. That is a fact. It is a fact of life.
So you're saying you're for the people?
I'm for the people. Can I get a G in the chat if you support and stand and simp over Vice Admiral Doll? I saw a lot of people put Y for Yamakaji. Now I'm just asking for a G for Doll.
I'm gonna put a G.
Yeah,
and
even Bar is also in on it. He likes the goth girls.
I'm not.
How it is.
I'm gonna be straight up. I'm pretty sure Doll is. I got one panel. She's already my favorite Vice Admiral because all the other ones are fucking garbage.
She's probably gonna be fodder. Like, I don't want to slander Doll. So? I honestly don't imagine her being super substantial in the plot.
Bro, I can look at her lips, though.
I can imagine Doll showing up and maybe stalling somebody, but I don't think she's gonna capture like a major W or pull out a hidden mythological Zoan devil fruit or something of the sort.
Do you
I
think her
she's gonna
name
show up.
alludes to her power? Maybe it's related to her devil fruit. Maybe she has a devil
I
fruit.
could see that, like a
be
doll fruit. Maybe she can make people her puppets. Something very Doflamingo-esque, or even she has her own puppet collection she can control. There's a lot of things with her name that could, you know, tie it into her devil fruit, because Oda has done that before.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like unheard of.
And when we get introduced to name sets like this, right? Like Pika was the Pika, right? Like he had that power, right? When we get to introduce the name sets, I always look at like the outlier. And so obviously the other outlier here is Prince Gruz, but we'll get to that one in a second because I do want to talk about Hibari. I don't think that she has a generic style. I mean, she, at least her outfit, everything, it seems like she seems like a Girl Scout. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, she's like
to
a
me.
Girl Scout. But if you, like, I don't know, I watch a lot of anime and she just feels like a run-of-the-mill timid character. So I inherently don't like her, but I do expect a lot out of her, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to diss her at any regards, but, you know, going back to the previous videos, everybody was talking about Doll. Nobody was talking about Hibari. I just gotta see it right
I'm
here.
talking about Hibari, bro.
Really?
This Kobe bagged this, bro. This is Kobe's chick. We have this
yo,
girl. What do you like? She literally knows Kobe is kidnapped by a Yonko, not just any Yonko, Blackbeard, and she said, "I don't give a shit. I'm running up on Blackbeard for Kobe." And you know what this is? This is Luffy's boa. This is Kobe's boa. Bro.
Okay.
She has the heart straps. She's coming in, bro.
Who would do the husband rescue better, though? Answer me that. Boa Hancock or Hibari? Boa Hancock wins hands down. You can't even argue me.
All right, but we're not gonna give Kobe a boa, bro. He gets Hibari. Give him that W. This is a solid W.
Dude.
Oda didn't need to give Kobe this, but he did. All he needed was Helmeppo crying like a baby here. He didn't need to add Hibari, a random commander who apparently is higher ranked than Helmeppo. Wait, Lieutenant Commander is higher than regular Commander, right?
Yes, it is.
No,
yeah.
Lieutenant? Oh, so Helmeppo's higher than...
Yeah, Helmeppo's higher than Hibari.
Okay.
From what I know, we're not, you know, military experts here, but I would assume Helmeppo's higher.
Yeah, so I would imagine, but he bagged this, bro. Like, you can't. The moment they come together, you know we're gonna get a scene like Kobe senpai, and then Kobe's just gonna kind of ignore it, kind of like Luffy, and be like, kind of like that thing, and then this is a W for Kobe. That's what I see it as.
Kobe pushes her to the side. Sorry, babe, I need to take my testosterone pills.
This glow up didn't happen overnight.
Sorry, babe, I need to learn Rio.
You just see him chugging energy steroids in the bag.
Yeah, he's just going crazy. Kobe's just pushing her to the side. Yeah, I mean, you know, Hibari, I don't know, man. Like, she's there.
I don't blame
I'm
you,
not
though,
expecting much.
Because
in
next
terms
to
of
Doll, the panel, like, Oda's not doing her solid because it's Tashigi and Doll, and then we get Hibari, and it's like, you know, I get it, but then we get the Prince Gruz,
goth girl, timid girl. Like, let's be real here. We know who the 1, 2, 3s are.
But we know who Kobe's one is. You know what I mean? But his real number one is Luffy. Truthfully, right? That's why she's second to Luffy in reality.
Do you think? There's a higher chance that Kobe has a poster of Luffy in his bedroom than a picture of Hibari.
Yeah. Like, we might even get the situation where Hibari is mad at Luffy. Like, she meets Luffy and she's like, "You're him. How dare you? You stole my guy." You know, like that kind of like interaction.
You stole his heart.
Yeah, actually, that's probably what's gonna happen. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then he finally gets this like, "Oh, Kobe, I love Kobe." And he's like, "Ew, how dare you?" You know, like that kind of. I can see that. I can see that for sure.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But then we get Prince Gruz or Prince
Gruz.
Which one do you want to go with?
So in the spoilers, this guy's name was tossed around like a salad in a college bar. Yes.
What?
So I want to see what his name looks like in the Viz translation. But in the beginning, his name was Prince Guru. And then it was changed to Prince Cross. And now it's Prince Gruz. Or Gruss or whatever. So whatever this guy's name is, it looks like we're just calling him Prince right now, which I'm kind of happy about. Like, I don't want to focus on the last part.
Yeah.
What's up?
Wait, they were tossing it around, but they didn't swap the R with an L at any point of the iteration. I would feel like that would be the main. They would be like Prince Glus, Prince.
So I think Guru is out of the building. I think it is between Prince Grus and Prince Cross, because they sound very similar.
Yeah.
And apparently in the Japanese translation, it is somewhat interchangeable as well. So I went with Prince Cross in my video, but I see the TCBs going with Prince Grus. But I want to see what the Viz official has to say about his name. But either way, his name is Prince, and I wonder if he has some sort of, noble heritage. I don't think so. I think, given the hat and the way he's sitting in that chair, I think he kind of more looks like a mob boss. Like, he looks like my high school drug dealer more than anything.
You know what he looks like to me? He looks like a trust fund kid. That's what he looks like.
Trust fund kid. He looks like a knockoff Corazon. Like, I mean, let's be real here. To me, the Prince part is the more significant thing. And I wrote this in my podcast thing, my episode. And now let me fact check it with you, because you're the Marine fanboy. Is this the first, if he were royalty, is this the first royalty we would ever hear of in the Marines? I think so, right? I mean, if you count Corazon, then no.
Okay, that's true.
But
that's true.
if you don't count him,
I don't really count Doflamingo.
Yeah.
I said this. I don't count Doflamingo, so by proxy Corazon, because Doflamingo technically is a warlord within the system, but and he was. But
then again, Corazon was originally with Sengoku, though.
Yeah. So that is
before
Doflamingo, right? And we still don't get the full connection of who's running this shindig here with Sword. But we do get a lot of these members, and Prince Cross, Prince Grus, whatever it is, Prince Gruz, he has the same rank as Drake, right? Rear
Admiral, bro. So, I mean, we can also imagine this guy's fodder then, right? Because, I mean, X-Drake was kind of fodder. Well, I mean, no hate on X-Drake, but, I mean, he wasn't looking too good on Wano.
To be fair, he in the cover stories that the people pointed out, and I was surprised. And so what I said in my thing, and now maybe I'll change it, was that I was saying that I wouldn't imagine that this character would be like that talked about in the spoiler community. So when people came to the live reaction and they were like, yo, have you seen the cover story with him in it? And I was like,
yes.
No, why would I know this? Why would you know this? He's not even a named character in that cover story. And I was like, oh, man, I guess people are just that perceptive, but it makes sense if everyone is talking about him in the spoiler community. And in the cover story, we went through the entire Beige cover story, and he actually no-diffed Gotti, which I think is one of Beige's like top officers, top people, in his crew. And he no-diffed him. He just axe kicked him and done. Over. That's it. So he, memes aside, he is formidable. He's but I strong. I don't know where the ceiling would be, especially with like, but Drake, Drake knows Rio, so maybe he to that extent, right? And if he has to be leagues above Kobe, right? Because Kobe is just a captain, right? There's a level above captain, and he's a rear admiral, so he might be pretty strong.
The thing with Prince that I want to point out is that in that cover story we did see him where he was hunting Beige. I am curious now as to why he was hunting Beige. I made a pretty bold prediction that maybe he was trying to recruit Beige into Sword. And the reason why is because Beige is a really like sneaky kind of guy. I mean, he joined the Big Mom Pirates to like later betray her and etc. for his own goals. So maybe they wanted to utilize Beige's abilities to infiltrate and to do reconnaissance into the Sword Initiative. Because I mean, that's what they used Drake for, right?
Yeah.
They sent him to work with Kaido. So they would definitely want somebody that could do the same thing.
They sent a rear admiral, worst generation member, to be a part of the Toby Roppo of all things.
Yeah, and just get fodderized, right? I mean, the guy got shiganed in the neck and he was done.
Yeah, I
couldn't beat a poo.
The anime is gonna do that scene justice, but yeah,
I hope so.
According to the manga, so far he did get like kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't say slaughtered, but sort of.
Yeah, so to anybody who talks about the X-Drake slander going on, the only reason I slander him is because if you were to remove him from Wano, according to the manga, like not too much would change, which is sad. Like I was expecting a lot out of X Drake. He stalled CP0 for a little bit, but let's be real here. Is that really a feat? Or are we just pretending like stalling CP0 for maybe half a chapter and off screen is actually a feat though? Like I just feel like I expected more out of him that we didn't get for a supernova.
His debut of his power was just no diffing in numbers, right? And it was put side by side with Luffy's Gear 4. And that's really interesting because I don't feel like Luffy's Gear 4 would struggle against CP0.
No.
Like that, right? And so then we get a situation where, like, regardless if he's tired or not, we were also trying to, at that point, understand how strong the CP0 were because they were on the chase for Robin. And that was like, I think that was the first instance of their power, them fighting Drake. And then it kind of just was like, there was a tussle. And then he was just down. Apu left. It was a 2v1, but we don't get the context of that in the manga, right? In the anime, it might be different. It might be different, right? Because if he was 2v1ing CP0 all on his own, like Apu left from the very beginning, that's a different situation. I can agree that that's a different situation. But then he gets back up and he gets a 1v1 and then he gets Shigan, right? I think that's the proper
Shigan in the throat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, it's like we were trying to determine both of their power levels. The more consistent one that we knew of was Drake was put next to Luffy's Gear 4 with Rio against the numbers. That was the benchmark. And then we found out that CP0 isn't really that crazy. And then we also found out that Drake isn't that crazy. And so both of them took L's after all of that said and done.
Even Drake was put side by side with Zoro, at least in the anime, attacking down Apu.
Yeah.
So it's like they are hyping up Drake to a certain amount, and it's like from what we got out of Drake though, in hindsight, it isn't as much as he should have put in. I would even argue that Hawkins showed out more than Drake in that arc, which is a sad thing to say.
Yeah.
Like I love Drake, man. I mean, I'm a Marine fanboy, so I mean I was expecting high things out of that, but his Zoan's good. Cool. Yeah, his Zoan's super cool.
And so hopefully we get that, redone in a proper light in this saga, in this arc maybe. But Prince Gru's, like, I'm gonna just reset my benchmark and hope that he is a formidable opponent. Like, he should feel like he's like Luffy might have to pull out Gear 4, like maybe, you know what I mean? Like to
I like how we're not even considering Gear 5th. It's just like just Gear 4th.
No. Gear 4 should just know this dude, right? Like,
Luffy should not have to pull out Gear 5th for anybody else.
But and something that I noticed is that you might be right. This Prince name might not even be royalty because they were, at least according to TCB, they don't refer to him as Grus. They refer, or not even Prince Grus, right? Royalty is like the title plus the name. They just say Prince.
Yes.
So that just might be his name. That's pretty interesting if you ask me.
And plus, I mean, the little sofa he's sitting on, like, he seems like he is acting as a prince, like a mafia boss, or like, I don't know, just like he fits in well with the G5 people behind him is the best way to put it.
Yeah,
what was the G14 people behind him
to me was he also kind of looked like Ryokugu a little bit when we got his panel. Like,
whoa,
I was like,
don't compare the goat to Prince Grus.
The goat. Okay, all right. We're gonna die on this hill. The goat. I mean,
we're gonna die on the hill.
Okay, all right. I guess we're already dead then.
So
it's interesting here with this panel too, because I would imagine that he might have the power to deploy a Seraphim, but it seems like he is terrified. At least he's level-headed. I'm excited by his character because he shows restraint. He does show decision-making, a proper decision. Like, yo, I get it. Kobe's important, but like we can't just roll up on the Yonko. We're not going to just deploy Seraphims.
Yeah.
We're going to take this step by step, calm down. Like, I do like that kind of a character. So
and it even seemed like he wanted to, talk to Drake about this too. Like, hey, what does Drake think about this situation? Like, he wanted to get more opinions on this, like higher level opinions as to what to do about it. So yeah, Prince Grus is a very restrained character. It's not like Helmeppo or Hibari here, who just wants to roll up on Blackbeard and essentially get slaughtered.
Yeah. So all things said and done, these few panels with the Navy, with Sword, I'm super excited because of something synthesized later, but two, we got great character designs, in my opinion, interesting character designs, but also valuable, exposition on each person too.
It's a good chapter.
Yeah, so far so good.
So moving onwards, we have the Jewelry Bonney part, where we have her wringing out the clothes. Hey, I don't simp for anime women, but let me tell you, when I see a good panel, I call it as such. But we have the Jewelry Bonney segment where she's wringing out the clothes, turning around to Luffy, and essentially being a tsundere. On one minute she's thanking Luffy for saving her. The next minute she's condemning him for being an enemy. Which at this point, I think it is kind of ridiculous that other people call Luffy an enemy, considering he's a Yonko. Like, would you look at Kaido and say this? Hey, Kaido, don't forget we're enemies now. Come on. Luffy has a 3 billion bounty, like literally 10 times more than yours. And you're like, hey, don't forget we're bad guys here. Or, we're not your friends. So I think that's kind of funny.
It does show that she is worst generation, though, right?
Yeah.
That is something you would imagine.
That ego.
The ego, exactly.
So it is part of the character. I do like it. I think it's a good gag. And I think it's also funny that Oda touches back up on the part that Luffy doesn't really read the news. Like, he doesn't know who's a part of the worst generation if he hasn't met him. And this is his first time meeting Bonney. I think Bonney only met Zoro, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So that's all she ran into. And then I like the comment she made back on Sabaody where she was like, well, if this guy's crazy, then I don't want to know what the captain is like. And then here we have the captain throwing his clothes around at Chopper, right? Like, we have a really goofy captain in comparison to the Zoro that she met back in Sabaody. And then she probably just heard the rumors that he hit a Celestial, and she's like, man, this guy's a maniac.
Absolutely maniacal, for sure.
Yeah.
What was interesting about this chapter is I just realized low-key, on my streams, we predicted that we would get a shirtless Bonney very soon. Which is crying. I didn't realize that. So I don't think you were part of this part of the live reaction, but I drew a shirt on Bonney on my stream.
Oh my gosh!
Like, I'm not trying to get demonetized. No. But then I quickly went back and I was just like, my thing lagged. And I was like, my computer started lagging as I drew the shirt on it. Like, the computer didn't even want me to draw the shirt. Yeah. So, what we were talking about was a theory that she was similar to Boa, had a celestial dragon mark, and that was how she got the fruit, and that was her connection. And so we were looking at her a few streams ago. We were saying that, like, I was saying that maybe the overalls is a plot point, that she has overalls to keep her pants up because she would have it on her booty. And the mark.
Gosh.
And then the chat was like, no, it's gonna be on her back. And I'm like, I promise you it's not there. If she has overalls, and this wasn't my theory, I was just trying to help a dude in the chat who brought this theory to my attention, and people were like, nah. And I was like, well, if there were a mark, it would be there. And everyone was saying it's on the shirt or on the back, and I was like, nah, it's gonna be down there. And we get it confirmed that it's definitely not on her back. She would be more afraid. And then people are like, maybe it's on her legs, but we get a good view of the feet right here.
Yeah,
the legs and the feet and
those
the thighs and all.
tasty feet. Yeah,
exactly. That was another thing. I don't know if you saw the color spread.
Yeah,
the one that the artist drew, Yash. They put their logo on the feet, so I zoomed in on the logo.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I'm just supporting the content creators here, guys. It's not me, it's Yash. Yeah. And this is something we have to do. Yeah, I mean, if they put it a little higher up, I would have zoomed in there. But nope, they didn't, and so we're staying down here.
I love that the water on Yash's coloring at the bottom of OnePieceChapters.com is like white. It's not even like blue like water. It's just straight up white. It's super cool. I mean, I love this page. I mean, aside from Bonney and the shirtless stuff going on, I like that she mentions what probably everybody is thinking, where she's like, wait, your wanted poster, you had white hair. Like, what was up with that? And Luffy makes a very distinguished comment where he says, oh, that's just how I look when I'm totally free. And then we look down at Luffy, and he's making like a goofy Gear 5th pose. Yeah. Like, this reminds me of when he was like, that buff Gear 5th Luffy, where he's like about to raise that ground up. Yeah. So it's like, Oda's throwing down the Gear 5th hints here.
And it's in, I go more in depth in my video, but it almost feels like Luffy is aware of that form. It does understand that form. It wasn't just a situational thing.
Oh, sorry. Can you go back like 10 seconds when I asked that question? It lagged for a second.
Okay. What I was saying was, it feels like Luffy does know what that power was. He does know what that form is. It's not something that just randomly happened and like he just went with it. It's like, no, that's how I look when I'm totally free. And that shows awareness. That shows almost that might be repeatable. It might be to this point where, you know, this is the comment that I wanted to talk about, where it's like, prior to this comment, I think a lot of people would have thought that there was a training arc necessary for Luffy, right? We need to understand Gear 5. He needs to understand what he is. And on his side, they need that. And then Zoro needs to understand Enma, conquers Haki. Sanji needs to understand his new upgrades. There's so many different levels. And then Usopp just needs upgrades, you know, and then we get Frankie. And Frankie was one of those characters that didn't feel like he needed an upgrade until this chapter. And so now, more than anything, it felt like we needed that. But then we get this comment from Luffy where it's like, it kind of feels like everyone's on a different page. Like, Luffy doesn't need the upgrade. Everybody else does. And so, you know, going back to the sentiment earlier, it kind of does feel like we're going to get a separation here because, you know, what benefit does Luffy have being with Vegapunk, right? Like, Vegapunk, sure, like, we'll tell him about the fruit and whatever, but if he already knows that this is how I look when I'm totally free, I don't think that Luffy will need the science behind devil fruits to understand. Sure, they might help, maybe like the crew will be able to tell him, but at the end of the day, like, Luffy's already there, but everyone else isn't. Zoro probably doesn't need help from Vegapunk. Sanji might, and Sanji most likely will, but like, it also seems like an emotional thing, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Frankie, Chopper, everybody else definitely needs this training arc.
They need,
and there might be separation. Yeah, they definitely need the punk for sure.
So after he says he's totally free, Bonnie just kind of inquires about that. And I love this one here. She says, anyways, aren't you worried about the rest of your crew? Because the last time we saw them, they were literally drowning. Devil Fruit members were drowning in the water. And Luffy says, they'll figure it out. And I love that he trusts them so much. Yeah. Because we have to remember, like, this is a Yonko crew. Like, this just, like, at this point of the story, we're not just some random pirates. This isn't just like, I don't know, we hired a skeleton from Planet Halloween to come out and join the ship. These are big name people. Like, they're not gonna die by just some random water.
This is a Yonko crew.
Yeah, it is the Yonko crew. And then even Bonnie's pretty impressed. Like, I can't believe you got Jinbei here. Like, how did this even happen? And then we get a little bit of banter going on back and forth between Luffy and Bonnie. You know, it's the first time meeting. It's whatever. And then she drops a giant bombshell on us, saying, "We're on Egghead, the island that's said to be 500 years in the future. Dr. Vegapunk's research lab is based here. And Vegapunk's the reason I'm here, because we've got business." And then in the background, we see the big ol' shot of Egghead Island, and we see what seems to be like a robotic skull in the background, very cyberpunk-esque. And there's just a lot to digest here. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say it's a giant egg, and I didn't even think about that until people had to comment it. The way I saw it, it felt like an old school PS2 robot, like monster you'd fight, which is why I instantly leaned towards that. But I can see how it could be a giant egg, and a lot of people are bringing up that it also looks like, I guess you can't really say something looks like an egg, but it resembles an egg that was on Roger's ship as well.
Well, we can confirm that this egg is not just like
far
exponentially bigger.
Yeah,
this thing isn't
it's big.
Like, Roger's egg looks like a chicken egg compared to this thing. Yeah, like this robot that is the size of the giant shark that dwarfed the Sunny looks like a pixel compared to this giant egg. I don't want to even know what came out of this egg, if it is an egg, because whatever came out of that egg, unless it's Zunisha, that thing is terrifying, because this is the size of it being a baby, right? Because once you come out of the egg, you're like a little fetus, right? Like, and you grow into something massive. Like, who knows? Maybe this is like, elephants don't come from eggs, but who knows with One Piece? Like, this is terrifying.
I mean, going back to my head comment though, like, I feel like this is a head. Like, you see the teeth, you see the potential eyes even. And I was
where do you see the eyes?
I mean, I correlate that random bar on the top to
Okay.
be the eyes, kind of like a I don't know, cyborg eye. But I feel like this could just be a giant, like, mechanical cyborg. Like, maybe at one point Vegapunk was trying to recreate a giant even.
True. What I see is a cracked egg, and it's split open, and there's like trees at the bottom half, that just like kind of grew, because it looks like there's a bunch of trees at the bottom, and it might be that they like overgrew here. But I do like the idea that maybe this egg is a byproduct of Vegapunk. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he created this egg and it hatched, and we don't know what that created. Like,
I think the one reason why I don't get behind the egg comment is because if it is an egg, then we'd have to explain what that random halo is above it.
True.
Because it looks, I mean, I guess you can't say something looks mechanical, but it kind of does look mechanical. Like, it looks like it is attached to the egg at some extent.
Yeah, it looks
and
like Saturn's rings.
I haven't seen a pig lay any eggs like this before either.
Yeah, it is interesting. It definitely, like, who knows? And you know what's really interesting to me now that I'm looking at this panel up close? Why hide the island? Why have this cloud right in front? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is behind that cloud that Oda didn't want us to see? Like, if we're gonna get the island, why not just show us that? That kind of signals to me that there's something behind this cloud that, like, Oda wants to reveal in the future. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna look at it and we're like, what are they looking at? And there's probably something there that's equally as absurd as this egg, if not more absurd.
The head of Sabo.
Sabo got gigantified and decapitated.
And he got turned into a robot skeleton egg.
Yeah. Like, Onigashima's here. Yo, this could be where Onigashima's from. Like, the baby it hatched. No, that's too much of a stretch. I hate the Gomu Gomu no Mi.
Then you'd have to say that an Oni came from an egg.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe, you know that giant sea king that kind of looks like a peacock bird? Maybe that came from this egg.
Oh,
you know that?
I could see it. Yeah, from Fishman Island, yeah.
Yeah, like the one with like the poodly kind of things around its neck. Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, how's they doing over here? I heard some rough scallion is causing a muck on the Noah's Ark. Yeah, I remember that bird.
Beautiful impression.
Thank you.
That's what the viewers came here for, by the way.
Yeah. Just something ridiculous.
Yeah. But what do you think about the Vegapunk's The Reason I'm Here? We've got business. Because I have my idea, and it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, mine is super straightforward. I feel like she's really just here for Kuma.
Yeah. So
yeah, she's here to restore Kuma to, like, what he once was.
But what's really interesting to me about that is the intent behind it. So now from this line, it's one thing if she was associated with the world government, but she knows of this island, right? You can't just know about the government. If it's anything like Punk Hazard, it's probably not somewhere you can get to by log post, which is another interesting thing. Do you think that this is where the Straw Hats were originally intended to go via log post, or do you think that they got rerouted?
I feel like this is.
Okay.
And the reason I say so has to do with what Luffy said beforehand, or I guess Jinbei or whoever said it, I forgot. But they said, "Hey, just follow the ship to where the log post is taking you." And since Frankie is left behind with all the other Straw Hats that could use upgrades from Vegapunk, I just feel like they have to go to Egghead Island. I could see how
Frankie didn't steer them. The robot carried them here.
Yes, it did. So maybe this isn't the next island, but they got led here anyways.
Yeah, we'll know for sure if we get an update on Nami's log post, right? Like,
yes.
She'll tell us, like, oh, this isn't where we were supposed to go. This isn't even like an island that has a magnetic signature or something like that.
But even if it was an island that had a magnetic signature, I don't think it would suffer too much just because of the people who run around here. Like, there's a marine base nearby. You have the Seraphim here. You have Pacifistas here. You potentially even have Sentomaru here. And
you also have a giant megalodon shark patrolling.
Yeah, a giant shark. You have Vegapunk here who has crazy defense mechanisms if he wanted to. Like, I don't think they're going to be afraid of too many pirates. Right. Like, I feel like that shark, or even Vegapunk's creation we see later in the chapter, it could honestly take down Tobiropo with ease. Like, General Frankie could, fought on par with Sasaki. If we're saying General Frankie isn't close to what Vegapunk had in this chapter, then Vegapunk is easily like Yonko commander level with just technology alone.
Oh wow, you're kind of right on that.
Yeah, that's the stretch I'm gonna make. Like Vegapunk is probably just Yonko commander level with what he could create. I mean, even the Seraphim, like what Vegapunk just has to say, hey, go attack them. What are you gonna do if like Warlord Seraphims attack you all at once that all shoot lasers? Like you can't really fight that
as a Yonko island.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say though is, besides that, at the minimum, we can say that it feels like Bonnie probably has been here before. I think at a minimum, because she knew where it was, she was headed towards here. We got business, and so for her to route herself in this direction, to know where she was going, to have an agenda on top of that, it feels like the connection that we were looking for where Bonnie's tie-in. Was it the Celestial Dragons? Was it Akainu? Was it Vegapunk? I think now for sure we can confirm that whatever story we're gonna get, it definitely probably relates back to Vegapunk more so than anything else. That's not to say that she isn't related to other factions in the world government, Navy, that stuff, but I think this sets it in stone that it is this benefits the theories behind, like, you know, a lot of people were like, is Bonnie a Big Mom clone, right? Or, you know, like all of those things. I think that definitely gets boosted because of this this detail here.
I mean, I can totally see that. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of theories out there saying that she could be a celestial dragon or whatever. But the one I really like but don't agree with entirely is that she might be Akainu's daughter as well.
Yeah, you brought that to my attention a few two discussions ago, I guess, or no, last when Bonnie showed up, the Akainu thing, and I was just like, I don't know. It feels like he treated her more like property rather than like. I
mean, what daughter isn't your property though? Like, let's be real here.
I thought you had a family side. I thought you.
I do. That was a joke, everybody. That's being left in. Can't censor that one. That's too good.
I'll show it to your wife. Don't worry.
Oh my god. So moving on to the end of the chapter, we have the Vegaforce 12s coming up and lifting up the Sunny, showing us just how huge it actually is. And it's funny because, you know, we usually have Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp, you know, gossing over how big a robot is. But this time, Frankie is also gossing over how big this robot is, which I think speaks volumes. And then hidden behind the giant robot dialogue, we also see that Caribou made his way out of the barrel, which, you know, is he going to contact that man? Is he going to do anything? Is he going to escape? We truly don't even know at this point. He's just kind of here for the ride. And this is when we are revealed to the doctor himself. We see...
Beautiful lady that is a doctor.
We see Dr. Vegapunk popping out of the Vegaforce 12. And it is a beautiful female. You know, first we had Doll. Then we had Bonnie. And now we have the Spunk Meister herself, Vegapunk. So what do you think about women, Par? Do you like that Vegapunk is a woman? Or do you hate the female race? Because
what are we doing, Sai? Like, you literally went to the bathroom to think of this shit too. You were like, how can I set up Par to be canceled?
So no. This is a genuine question. So in my video, I mentioned how, you know, Vegapunk right here is being portrayed as a woman. Mm-hmm. But there's a pretty good chance that the original Vegapunk was most likely a man. Because of everything we've seen beforehand, all the context clues, the way people talked about him, they called him literally an old man in Heat. Mm-hmm. But people are saying, well, you just don't like that a woman is smart. And I'm like, oh god. Oh man.
That's
not the point.
To separate the things out, I don't remember the previous context that would create the gender, the thing, because I just saw a meme on TikTok. There was a thing where the just to insert this joke, you might actually like this one, where it was like, I'm trying to remember the entire joke. It was like, dang, I can't remember the joke. It was something along the lines, this guy gets injured and his parents are doctors or something. No, I forget what it was, but essentially the punchline was like, these girls couldn't fathom that the person saving the kid's life was their mom as a doctor. They just assumed that their mom couldn't be a doctor. And it was like this whole thing in the comment section where it's like, you know, people don't perceive women in these positions of authority. So, you know, I also preface my or I end my podcast thing saying, like, honestly, I would be fine with her being a female. I would love it for the fact that we get all these scientists who are these, you know, Judge, Queen, Caesar, who are these cocky, arrogant dickheads. And not to say that she won't be that, but for it to come from a female perspective, for it to come from like a place to have that authority where we're talking about it, right, where you were saying that she literally no diffs everybody in the verse in their realm. Doesn't matter where they are, if it requires brain power, she no diffs them, right? And I would genuinely enjoy that. I would question whether that was Oda's original plan with this character. If so, genius. That's something I would definitely bring up in an interview. Did you always think that Vegapunk would be a female? Now, all that being said, I, at this point, don't think that it, like you said, I don't think that this is a female. Like, obviously this is a body of a female, but there's like an antenna on her.
What makes you say that this is the body of a female, though?
By a lot. Okay, all right, Sai. Okay, you're definitely gonna have to cut that one out. All right, you fucking knew what you're doing with that shit.
What are you talking about? It was a straightforward question, Par. I just want you to answer that.
On first instinct, you know, without we aren't given much context, and I don't want to assume the gender here, but you know, to you know, get to the other point is like, this may not be a true female person within the One Piece series, and the reason why I say that is actually because Sanji. We actually last chapter he sensed that Bonnie was the one in the warm bulgy walgy, and that's something that I continuously emphasize, that Sanji knows the heart of a maiden. He can sense that with his haki, and he said somebody's coming out, versus last chapter he knew that it was a girl stuck in this bulgy walgy, right? He should be able to sense that it was a female. He's not even we don't get any reactions, though we don't see the crew's, you know, full reactions of the person, but we do see that Sanji doesn't have hard eyes. He sees somebody's coming out. He doesn't sense, he doesn't see anything about
He just sees the body.
He just sees the body, and there's no reaction, but we're given Sanji's reaction, Sanji and Frankie's, right, of after Vegapunk's person is revealed, but he couldn't sense it and he has no reaction. So I think that this is like an android that Vegapunk is controlling remotely, or it could be that he's controlling it directly, and this is like a Gundam, for example. And I said this on my stream, and this is on brand for your channel, where it's like, then where would the cockpit be? Where would the cockpit be on this female body? But
hey. If you want to call this a female body, Par, then I would assume it would be in the heart.
Oh, wow. So wholesome. so wholesome. Yeah, so, you know, definitely putting the cockpit in the heart. Definitely wholesome vibes there. So I think that this isn't like a human. That is what I'll say. This isn't a human. It has an antenna. I would imagine that while it could be true that Vegapunk is the person to be on the front lines, that's never been the case in the story, right? Like, it seems like this would be like Vegapunk is like a master controller, kind of like observer, you know, asking people for recordings of their stuff, right? That kind of thing. So all that being said, with this reveal, what's really interesting to me is the failure line. Did that stick out to you?
Yes. Despite my mediocrity, they like to call me their scientific genius. I think it speaks on Vegapunk's character of always wanting to do better, or knowing they could do a lot better than what they've done previously. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they're probably going to look at all their creations as a failure and want to keep on pursuing better advancements, which is why we ended up with such crazy things in this chapter. And
But-
like, yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna say, but even more than that,
Yeah.
she says it's another failure. A little bit early on, she says it's another failure.
Yep.
This won't do it all. Perhaps overriding primal desires is simply impossible. How utterly vexing. I ordered the mecha shark to scout, report, and fire, but if it keeps trying to eat ships, there won't be anything left to salvage. I must have bungled the programming. And
Yep.
that really stood out to me because this goes back to my original Vegapunk video where I was saying, and this is the word failure sticks out to me because Momo's fruit, Vegapunk's creation, was deemed a failure. But from all of our, what we've seen, it's not a failure. And what I
Yes.
said back then was that the reason why it's a failure is because Vegapunk failed to manipulate the will within the devil fruit. So that's probably why he considered it a failure, or she, whatever, considered it a failure. And the question is, how did he consider it a failure prior to it being consumed, right? You wouldn't know it's a failure unless it was eaten. And
Yeah.
so that, I go into that detail in the video, but at the bottom, I was saying that at that point, we didn't get it confirmed by the Gorosei that the Zoans had wills, but it was something that a lot of people thought that at least the Zoans had wills. And that was something that was the failure here. And we see that reflected here where now it feels like this shark was something that they wanted to erase the innate will inside the shark. The shark had like a predatory vibe to it that they wanted to erase, and they couldn't. And the reason why I said, when you said that they no-diffed all of the other scientists, this line actually to me raises Judge, because Judge did not fail. Judge succeeded in erasing
the
primal
emotions.
desires. Yes, he erased it in his kids and in the clones. And that the asterisk there is that the cost of which he did that to succeed is a high price, right? He has to take these things from birth. And then, that you could take a person from birth and condition them and like abuse their upbringing to create that situation. But at the end of the day, it's like we saw situations where the Vinsmokes weren't afraid to die, for example. Their cover story is literally called The Cold-Blooded Journey, right? Voyage.
Yeah.
And so Judge in this situation demonstrates, or Vegapunk demonstrates in this situation, that Judge has something that is actually beyond what Vegapunk has achieved. Vegapunk could not erase the shark's primal desires, whereas Judge could erase the desires of a human, which is very interesting because now we have enter Sanji, who hears this line and it's like, oh, you couldn't do that. My father could do that. And like, you know what I mean? Like it gets this introduction where I'm sure Vegapunk wasn't keeping tabs on others like Queen was, but this could be a situation where Sanji plus Vegapunk cracks the code, and it might be a mutually cracking.
And they find a good way to do it too. Because I think the reason why Vegapunk hasn't been able to solve the emotion problem is because Vegapunk isn't willing to take the dastardly deeds that is required to achieve that. Because like you said, Judge conditioned them at an early age and etc. Like the Vinsmoke siblings specifically, to not have any emotions.
Yeah.
And I don't think Vegapunk is a bad person at all to want to go through the same route that Judge did. So I feel like there's just differing morals there. Like even, like you said earlier, Vegapunk stopped Caesar from committing genocide, which, good or bad, we could argue that for a good minute.
Come on, Sai. That was low-hanging fruit. You didn't
like that?
need to
That was
say
good. That was good. That was a good meme. But
that was a good meme.
But yeah, so I don't think Vegapunk is a bad person. And I mean, they even went out of their way to save the Straw Hat crew. Like, I mentioned it, but like, dude, if Vegapunk really was like a bad person and working for the government, and they wanted to get rid of the Straw Hat Pirates, which I'm sure they knew who they were saving, right? It's Thousand Sunny, it's the Straw Hats, their Yonko crew. They knew who they were saving. They didn't have to pick up the Sunny. They saved all these Straw Hats from getting killed. I mean, they probably could have gotten out somehow, some way, but like, look at this. Like, they did go out of their way to save them, even though they're acting like a tsundere, saying, hey, forgive me, but did you just say I saved you? Oh, you naive pirates.
Yeah.
I really feel like Vegapunk is a neutral character.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day it is. I think certain lines, and I'm waiting for the original, the officials, like when it says simply impossible, right? Well, it's not simply impossible. And for Vegapunk to say simply impossible versus like not achievable, right? Something that isn't humane, for example, putting that context there.
I see.
Because saying it's impossible, you know, versus saying it's something that I choose not to do despite knowing how to do it is a different thing. Because this almost makes it seem like they have no clue on how Judge achieved that. Because we do know from the clones, at least, you know, they don't have the emotions. And it might even be to the point where those clones are even better than the Seraphims in restraint, right? Because the clones probably have more restraint than what we saw of the Seraphims on Amazon Lily, because the Seraphims had to be like commanded to stop, whereas maybe the clones would be better, more equipped to holding off, you know, because the way I was seeing is like Mihawk's Seraphim is something that would want to fight, so is Boa's, right? So their primal desire is to defeat people. They're both well, at least Boa is a conqueror. If we clone Boa, I'm imagining that would be a conqueror Seraphim clone. Whether it has conquerors is separate. Whether it can use conquerors is separate. But the innate conqueror's ability, when we think about Boa as a kid, Boa explored. Boa went onto another ship. She was a warrior too, right? So that Seraphim probably has primal desires that can't be innately stopped. And maybe Vegapunk comes out and says that those are also failures. And that's like another huge thing when we get into this part where it's like, we're now on the island where the Seraphims are.
Yep.
And
we're about to meet the Seraphims
are interesting because when we were introduced to pacifistas, they were used as the benchmark. It required the entire monster trio to take their peak powers, all three of them, to take down one pacifista, and they were completely out of their realm. But then we got the time skip. Then we come back and each one of them could just no diff it easily. You know, whether Sanji and Zoro hated each other, I would go on a limb and each of them could probably no diff one if they wanted to. Even at the time skip,
like an extra slice, an extra kick. And so here we are with the Seraphims. We got their debut on 1059. We saw how powerful they are. What do you think happens with Luffy meeting these Seraphims? What do you think with Zoro meeting these Seraphims? Because we're on this island and we both said that like they needed a training arc. Are the Seraphims the training arc? Is that what we're gonna get at with this? I don't know. Like we mentioned it earlier, like how Luffy's Gear 5th is just so strong that I just can't imagine him struggling with a Seraphim. And even if he does, like I could just imagine Gear 5th would just destroy it.
10 Mihawk Seraphims.
So like 10 Mihawk Seraphims. So here's the thing. I made the connection with Zoro saying, well, there is a chance that Zoro could fight Mihawk Seraphim, and that would be a really good gauge of how close he is to the world's strongest swordsman. Like if he were to defeat the Seraphim and it took like a good amount of strife to defeat it, he could beat it and say, okay, now I'm one step closer to beating the real person. I think that'd be really nice. But the real question does kind of boil down to, are we going to get that? With Vegapunk showing up and seeming kind of neutral, are we really going to fight the Seraphim in this arc? That's the real question. I feel like we're going to meet them for sure. Because, I mean, even Helmeppo mentioned it earlier, saying, hey, like, I want to ask Vegapunk for a Seraphim. So we got Vegapunk in this chapter. There's a good chance the Seraphim are pretty close behind him or her. So I think I'm really just waiting for more reveals more than anything, rather than fights. Like, I'm waiting to see Buggy Seraphim. I'm waiting to see Crocodile Seraphim and Doflamingo Seraphim, rather than the fights that they might have with the Straw Hats.
I think that there is a world that they fight them, because if they were to barter with Vegapunk, one thing would be, hey, you can get battle data from us, you know, like you can get valuable information from you know, sparring with, and that might be something that Vegapunk proposes themselves, right? Like, hey, like you have nothing to offer me, and because you're fodder scientist, you're a fodder doctor, like I have to give you everything, but
since
what
you
guys
can
are
just
give
dumb
me,
buffoons.
but what you can give me is Yonko power, Yonko, you know, data points. And there's so many ways we can go with this arc, whether Vegapunk ends up being a morally gray villain or a morally gray ally. Like, it's kind of interesting, the possibilities from this chapter, because like I would say that, and I've been saying this, right, because we've been getting banger chapter after banger chapter, and then we got a chapter that a lot of people want to bang, and the the point being that we needed a lull, we needed a slowdown. And for the slowdown to be a Vegapunk reveal chapter, quote Vegapunk reveal chapter, is insane to me, because this is to me this is this eye of the storm, and what's next is going to be even crazier, because now we get the situation with Bonney, and the thing about Bonney is I don't even think that we're going to get the Vegapunk stuff immediately. Maybe we do, but what's more in our face is the business that she has is related to the Reverie. So yeah. And the Straw Hats just came off of a chapter where they're like, what happened there? We need to ascertain the truth. And so in conversation with Bonney, with Vegapunk or whatever, we might get the Reverie flashback in the next 2-3 chapters. I don't know how many chapters that will take, but I would imagine it might be more than one. I don't know how much you can cover in just one chapter regarding all the things that transpired. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I think this is the calm before the storm for sure, because Bonnie's information might relate to a possible further separation arc, right? You guys stay, me, like Luffy, whoever else goes off and attends to this disaster that Bonney drops on them, right? So who knows, honestly. And one more thing too is that we're gonna learn the truth about the devil fruits too. Vegapunk uncovered every secret. I mean, I would assume every secret there is to know about devil fruits in their entirety. Hopefully. With Vegapunk here, I feel like we are gonna learn a whole bunch, not even just on the medicinal side, or Vinsmoke's side, or Frankie's side, or Nami, Usopp, and whatever. Like, we're also gonna learn about devil fruits. Vegapunk has so much to offer to the story. It's legit gonna be a lore dump. Yeah. Like, it is gonna turn everything on its head. And there's a reason why Oda decided to leave this chapter on a break. And now going back to Vegapunk's gender, whether she's a boy or a girl or whatever, it does have an interesting translator note at the top saying that Vegapunk is speaking like an old person. Yeah. They're speaking like an old person. And beforehand, when we were, referenced to Vegapunk, Vegapunk was referenced as an old man, a he. So when we get the reveal in this chapter that it's actually a young female, then it does raise a couple of eyebrows. And personally, I am leaning towards that this is the real Vegapunk, but he more or less uploaded his consciousness into this other body. And one thing I'm wondering too is that since Vegapunk is now a female, I wonder if Vegapunk made any crazy technologies like a Seraphim of Roger, the king of the pirates, since we know that he was captured by the Marines during the end of his journey. Even a Kaido Seraphim would be an insane invention that Vegapunk could create, since he was also held captured at the same time as King. Drive Vegapunk even has goggles, and we don't even know how advanced those are as well. They could even act the scouters from the famous anime Dragon Ball Z. Maybe it could even gauge how strong a character's willpower is. Vegapunk is such a blank slate of a character where anything is possible, and you can tell that Oda had a lot of fun making this chapter, and it, by all means, is a great chapter. So what are your thoughts on Vegapunk in general, Par? Par? what's so up? One of the things you mentioned, because I obviously you're going to censor that part, and this is going to be great for the community, but I'll give you guys a hint at what he talked about. So these goggles they're very interesting for a specific reason. That Marshall D. Preach actually had a theory about the goggle setup and the aesthetic, that Oda might be setting up a situation where these goggles represent the Revolutionary Army, because that's signature of Savo's hat. Yeah. So that was a theory that he has on his channel, and he was actually he had a bigger one a year ago and he took it down, and in a collab with me on my second channel, we went more in depth on it, and I really liked that. The moment I saw these goggles, I messaged him. I was like, yo, you think this is what it is? And we had a decent amount of conversation about Vegapunk's position in the world, because more ways than one, they're tied to so many different worlds. It feels like it doesn't matter where it is. Vegapunk has touched every single part of world, which may or may not relate to some of the stuff that was redacted earlier for you guys viewers. A lot of touching going on. But that being said, with Vegapunk being, the downloaded memory, the downloaded, save data. Yeah. I would like that. If that were the case, that would be cool, because then it kind of reminds me of like Orochimaru, kind of like swapping vessels, but like from a technological standpoint. But then also that lends itself to an idea that Kuma could be saved. Kuma might have a save.
It's on a hard drive.
Yeah, and that we could restore Kuma to an original state if this were the line of context, right? And it seems like, we're gonna get programming. She bungled the programming with the shark, and it's super interesting because it kind of feels like a character that's just willing to help as long as the issue is convoluted enough, right? Like maybe that's the character trait of Vegapunk, where it's like, it's kind of like Sherlock. Maybe it's like Sherlock was a genius detective that only took on cases that interest them. It didn't matter if your parent died and you have this trauma. It had to be interesting. And that might be Vegapunk's Sherlock is a huge inspiration for a lot of series, including one of Oda's real good friends, the writer of Detective Conan. And so it might be that Vegapunk is inspired by a lot of these mastermind characters, especially given that, like, he's also friends with the director of like Code Geass, the person who made Code Geass, another mastermind thing. So I'm very, very curious to see where Oda takes this character, and this start is probably one of the greatest steps forward, which was really funny because I think one of the spoilers that you told me about was I don't think, maybe you sent it to me, or maybe I think you might have sent it to me, was expect the unexpected, which was the editor note at the very end of the thing, how unexpected. And it's like, I think what you told me, or what people were going towards, was like some regular ass stuff, and I was like, they said to expect the unexpected, not shit that we theorized, right? Like, I think when you told me that, like, the main responses were like, these are all things that people theorize, which is not the unexpected. If you theorized it, it's not. This is unexpected. This is I don't think anybody. Yeah, this is 100% unexpected.
Yeah, I mean,
and
nobody could just expect. Nobody really expects.
Help Sanji immensely, for sure. Whatever you said, which I'm assuming you can redact, all everyone needs to know is that Sanji would probably be a-okay with something like that, but not the whole context of what you said, not the whole context.
Oh no, I got you.
Yeah,
I mean, I for everybody who got that redacted there, I essentially just said how Vegapunk is really smart and could probably create a whole bunch of different technologies out there. And I wondered if, Vegapunk will look at the Sunny's technology and Frankie's technology, and would they pity Frankie? Would they want to help them out? Or, what would be the case there? That's essentially what I was trying to get at, but I don't know what Par got with the Sanji take, but, I mean, I guess Sanji is also somewhat technologically advanced with the raid suit. Yeah. Well, what do you think about Vegapunk, talking about Frankie's technology and etc.?
Yeah, it would be fun if not fun. It would be interesting if Vegapunk belittled a little bit. You know what I mean? It would be interesting because, like, the entire, even on Wano, when they saw like Frankie's creations, everybody was like, this is amazing, this is crazy every time, right? And it's like, for the first time in the entire series, Frankie isn't that guy, right? And and this might make, Frankie probably already has an immense respect for Vegapunk. Actually, now I look at the context, he says, thanks for saving us, whoever you are. So he doesn't even recognize whatever this is, which is interesting considering, he was in Vegapunk's lab and there was no context of what Vegapunk looked like, or, if this was an android, there's no blueprints for something like this. And it makes you wonder a little bit because Frankie redesigned his entire body essentially off of the blueprints of Vegapunk, but clearly he was missing some assets in the upper body and the lower body, because Vegapunk clearly went in a different direction with the power. And actually, now that I think about it, do you think that this, like, I'm gonna say like Android is gonna feel like Dragon Ball Z. Is it gonna feel like this? Is this Android strong? Like stronger than the Vinsmokes? That would be kind of cool.
Feel like it will be. I mean, there's no reason to make an Android weak, right?
True.
Like if I were to upload my body in a different like being or Android or whatever it be, I would want that to be strong, durable, more durable than the Seraphim, stronger than the Seraphim, and etc. Like I wouldn't put myself in some bozo body. Like I wouldn't clone myself and just say, "Oh, here, let's put myself in this direct copy of what I look like."
Yeah.
No, I'd want an upgrade. And
Yeah.
I would assume that Vegapunk is very strong.
Yeah, this is interesting now I think about it. The more I think about it, the more interesting it gets. And that's what's really important about this chapter, right? Because I heard a lot of people say like, oh, 1060 was better, 1059 was better, 1058 was better. It's like, yeah, duh. Like that's the way those chapters were framed. Like those are this one's clearly like we got like 6 pages of them running away from a giant shark, right? Like this is clearly de-escalating the hype, but not de-escalating what we're getting out of the chapter, because this is still endless conversations, and that at the end of the day is what One Piece is about, right? The conversations that we came into this thing and saying like, oh, this is gonna be a short one. Well, no, we're still hitting like an hour 20.
Oh, but hit 2 hours pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, given that we're probably gonna redact like 20 minutes of this.
Whoa, we're not redacting anything. What are you talking about? Everything's being left in here in its full context part. They're gonna hear how much you don't like women.
You do know that people can read lips, right? You gotta start blurring the mouth a little bit too.
But here's the thing. I have nothing to hide, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
I got nothing to hide. I say what I say.
At YouTube
and
says
I say it with my chest par.
Oh yeah.
When you hear the AI voice pop up on the screen and the text-to-speech going ham in sicko mode, just know that is actually what I said, and the only reason I put it there is because my actual audio got cut off.
Yeah, that's 100% the case. It wasn't YouTube, it wasn't the, anything else. It was the audio got scuffed 100%.
Yeah, somewhere down the road the audio just said, "Hey, I'm gonna run a train on that mic." Oh jeez. Do you have any predictions for 1062 or desires? 1062, I mean, honestly, I'm going with the flow. Going back to one more comment here before we end off, I don't think that this android we meet at the very end, Vegapunk, Dr. Vegapunk, Punk 02 or whatever, I don't think it's being controlled remotely by Vegapunk.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because this version of Vegapunk is controlling a big version of the Punk Force 12. So if Vegapunk can control things remotely, then why wouldn't he just control the Punk Force 12 directly? Instead of going this different route of like, oh, I'm going to control Punk 02, and Punk 02 is going to control Punk 12. Well, like, it just feels very, like, I don't know,
it could
convoluted.
Be that the Vega Force wasn't intended for him to use directly, right? Like, Vega Force could just be something you give fodder Marines, right? We might come to Last War, and we put, like Tashigi in here, you know what I mean?
Tashigi?
Like I'm joking. It was a joke.
I was gonna say, we're not putting Tashigi in there. We're putting Zoro in there.
We're putting Zoro in here. Okay,
yes.
Okay. I mean, like Hibari, like those level below.
There we go.
Hibari, right? I'm trying to
like
cater to your
par
audience.
Again with slandering women. I gotcha.
Helmeppo also, he was the most. When we think about it, like I called him a baby. He's acting like a baby. We put Helmeppo in this thing. So, it's interesting to see all of these things come together, though. It's so weird because we're not gonna get Weevil, we're not gonna get the other stuff, but I guess maybe
I was really expecting it too.
Yeah, so and like Doflamingo, all of that jazz that people thought about, including me. But yeah, we're just going with I'm a-okay with that because I can focus on my theories. Break weeks are beautiful for that reason.
I love break weeks. They're so nice.
Yeah, and what's good about this one is we get some details, but it's definitely valuable to wait just a little bit longer to start theorizing about Bonnie and Vegapunk, because we're just about to get a bunch of theories. And I did promise my viewers that I said I think in the Vegapunk video and on stream about Bonnie, I said the next time we see either one of them, any details, I'll make a theory about them, because people really want that. And to go back to the Vegapunk thing, Vegapunk is the entire reason my channel started the way it did, the videos I started, because that exact reason. Most people think that Vegapunk is going to be the person that tells about devil fruits, the power system, all that stuff, and I want to get ahead of that. And that's why my first videos are elemental hockey, all that stuff. I wanted to see how close I could be, how close of a madman I could be. And you know, a lot of people end up calling me a little bit like Vegapunk, or like a mad lad, or a mad scientist, whatever it is. But Vegapunk is definitely one of the inspirations for me to start the channel, the videos that I put out, the focus, and I'm so glad that we're getting it now. 2022 is continuing
finally
to be
happening.
a great year. Yeah. It feels like the end, though. It does
We're nearing it, man. Oda did not lie about that 3-year deadline. He wants to complete it.
If he didn't tell us that and we got what we did in the last few chapters, I think a lot of us would get heart attacks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we'd be like, oh my god, it's coming to a close.
Yeah. So Oda did us a solid by just dropping like, hey guys, get ready.
Like, buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah, for sure.
But with that being said, thank you, Par, so much for coming in. And believe it or not, guys, I am not
A member of the Celestial Dragons.
Par is also not
A member of the World Gov.
We actually have YouTube channels out and about. Parvision is a very highly celebrated theorist in the One Piece realm. Do you want to shout yourself out before we head out?
Yeah, I would just say the main thing to look forward to as for me is I'm planning on a bunch of more content, not just like, you know, the theories. I have so many stockpiled, but there's also so many collabs in the works. I've like literally every week, I bet one of your favorite creators, if it's not one of us, I'm definitely going to be trying to talk with them in the future, in the upcoming weeks. But then on top of that, I do have my podcast stuff that I'm getting started again. I took a few weeks break, but we're starting back up with this chapter. Everything should be up before this video is, or by the time this video is up, it'll definitely be there. So other than that, I mean, you know, thank you, Sai, for being here, but also besides the redacted portions, we just came off of a very important video of mine. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it was inspired by what Sai gifted to me last video about Luffy's dream, and that cascaded into this huge video relating to not just what Sai said, but also what Volume 1's Megan said. But then more than that, I put my own synthesis, but connected more of the community, and hopefully that led to a lot more connections, even with Sai. Last, I think you left it in the video that you want to collab with more people, and I think there are more collabs lined up for you. So I'm definitely glad to be here, because I just want to make you happy, the chat happy, the community happy, and hopefully these videos bring a smile to your face. So thank you guys for listening to us, and if you want to smile more, come over, subscribe to Sai, subscribe to me, and looking forward to the next
Par
time.
also live streams on Twitch, so be sure to check him out, guys. Par is the smile doctor. He's going around making sure everybody's good and happy. He's essentially like Ibisu Town rolled up into a singular person. He just wants everybody to laugh uncontrollably. Even if they want to cry or be sad for a day, they can only smile when they're around Par. But thank you so much for coming in, man. It means a lot. And thank you guys for making it to this part of the video. Feel free to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Par is linked down below as usual. And stay tuned for the upcoming collabs. There is a break week, so you might see me on a couple of other YouTube channels. Don't be afraid. It's not my channel. I didn't get hacked. I am simply talking to other One Piece creators, believe it or not. It's actually happening, guys. Woo! Christmas is here. Oh, man. And I'll catch you. What's up?
No, I said we made it. You made it.
Yeah, we made it. It happened, dude. I mean, Vegapunk's a woman. I got collabs. Like, so many impossible things are happening today. So,
love to see it. Love
That
to
being
see
said,
it.
catch you guys later. Thanks for coming in. Peace out.